All right, how's everyone doing today?
Great.
Perfect. Okay, so my name is Jessica. For those that are on the call that don't know me, I am your dedicated agent development specialist. So if you guys ever have any questions about anything, just know that I'm your dedicated account manager. I can take you through a submission. You can drive sometime, or however you guys want to do it. Just know you can reach out to me and we can schedule anything you need. The structure of the call today is going to start with the setup of Appulate, and then we'll get into the workflow of how to process the submission from start to finish. And then at the end, I'll show you where additional training is. So if you're writing step-by-step instructions or you miss a step, just know that we probably already have it broken out for you guys. But definitely, if you need clarification on anything or have a question, just make sure to stop me and we'll get you sorted out. Does anybody have any questions before we start?
I'm good.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to appulate.com/signin, and everyone's username is their email address. If you ever need to reset your password because you forget it or whatever the case is, just click on this forgot password link and you can reset it from right here. When you manually sign into Appulate via the website, you're going to be taken to your Appulate dashboard. The dashboard will start to fill within this. Will start to fill with all of your different insureds as you start to work within the system. So mine is empty because you guys are my first training today, so I don't have any insureds in here. But as you start to work, that's when your insureds will start to appear. The very first thing that you want to do is to download Appulate Uplink. Uplink is a simple print driver that allows you to bridge over your Accord forms into Appulate. Therefore, it's eliminating the need to rekey any of that data. So any information you include on your Accord forms, you don't have to redo in the Appulate system. It'll bridge over and automatically fill out for you guys. Uplink complements any agency management system. And with that said, if you don't have an agency management system or a completed Accord form, you can always start directly with an Appulate using this Add New Customer or Prospect button. To locate Uplink, you're going to go up to this blue dashboard up here, and under Tools, you're going to choose Appulate Uplink. Once you're in Uplink, you'll just click on this Download Uplink Driver button, and it takes about a minute to install, but once it's installed, Uplink will show up as a printer driver option for you. So that's Uplink. Now I just want to review WebLink with you guys. So we're going to go back up to this blue dashboard, and under that same Tools tab, you'll choose Appulate WebLink. So WebLink is a browser-specific extension that allows you to bridge over duplicate data from Appulate to carrier portals that a WebLink connection has been developed for. So to download the WebLink, you'll click on this Get Extension button, and it only takes about 15 seconds to install, but once it's installed, it'll be ready to bridge over duplicate data from Appulate to WebLink carriers. And because this is a browser-specific extension, if you use multiple browsers to quote, you'll need to download the extension on the multiple browsers. So currently I'm in Chrome, but if you use Chrome and Firefox, whatever browsers you use, just make sure you download this on those browsers. So Uplink is bridging data from the Accord forms into Appulate, whereas WebLink is bridging data from Appulate to carrier portals. Do you guys have any questions on either of those?
Nope.
I'm good.
All right, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to move on and talk about markets, and we're first going to review the selected market list. So to access those selected markets, you're going to go up to that blue dashboard again, and under markets, you'll click on selected. You want to think of selected markets as your agency's private library of markets. So this should be a list of markets that your agency represents or is currently appointed with. Once you're ready to add markets to this list, we're going to go back up to that blue dashboard and choose Available. Available markets you want to think of as the public library of markets, and available markets will show you all the different markets that are currently available within Appulate. So as you can see, we have over 4,000 markets available, so I definitely recommend using the search function. So I'm going to search for travelers, and once you're ready to add travelers to your list, you'll go in line with that carrier all the way to the right-hand side.
Oh my God, I can't
click on this plus symbol.
Went there. That's crazy. Make sure when he gets home, you have him call me.
I will.
Okay. Don't worry, I'll talk to him about it. We have to figure this out. just put that paper in his room and show it to him when he gets home.
Okay, so doing that action,
All right.
essentially move them from the available market to your selected market. So you can go through all of our available markets and search whoever you use and add them. The last piece of setup is adding credential information for markets that require it. So to manage your passwords, you're going to go to the right-hand corner of the screen and click on your name. And down in the right-hand, or down in the bottom under market logins, you're going to see this is where you can input your username, your password, and if applicable, a producer code. Just know that the login type automatically defaults to use shared login. So if your agency uses a shared login, it'll automatically default to that. But if you have your own login, you want to drop that down and change it to use my login. Whenever you do that, just make sure you come back into Appulate and update your password in here as well. And then you'll click Save, and that's the last piece of setup. Do you guys have any questions for me before we get into the workflow portion?
I'm okay. I'm actually in it separately, just kind of going through the steps with you at the same time.
Perfect. That's great. Okay, so now we're going to get into the workflow, and I'm going to start with my Accord form. But before I even open up my Accord form, I just like to ask people not to focus on the line of business I'm using for my example, but how I'm processing the submission instead. I say that because regardless of the line of business that you're working on, the workflow in Appulate will be identical. So although I'm going to do a work comp submission, the workflow wouldn't change if you've been doing a business auto, a commercial property, or any other line of business that you guys work on. So Uplink is the tool that we're going to start with, and there's two ways to utilize Uplink. First, you'll open up your Accord form wherever you keep it. Yours might be in your agency management system. Mine's on my desktop. You just open it up. You'll click your print button, and then you want to make sure your printer destination is Appulate Uplink. Once it reads Appulate Uplink, you'll click on Print, and a pop-up will appear asking you to validate your Appulate credentials. The second way to utilize Uplink is a popular shortcut. You simply just right-click on that Accord form and choose Uplink from the drop-down menu. And that same pop-up appears asking you to validate your credentials. Some people like shortcuts, some people don't until they really have a handle on systems. So however you utilize Uplink, it's really how it's comfortable for you to use. So once your credentials are confirmed, your workstation will open Appulate and ask you to confirm the desired line of business that you want to work on. And this occurs if the Accord form you're using is applicable to more than one line of business. So if I drop this down, my system is smart enough to know that my Accord 130 could apply to these 5 different lines of businesses. Another example I like to tell people is if you uplink an Accord 125, and since the 125 is a general application and applies to most lines of insurance, this drop-down list would be much longer. So you just want to make sure you choose what you want to work on. I'm going to work on work comp today. And then you'll go to the right-hand side and click on Continue, which will take you to our Smart Q&A section. Do you guys have any questions before I go over just a few things with you guys? Okay, so I'm going to first review this insured. Okay, good. So I'm going to review this master insured tab. This was automatically created based off of the information that was on your Accord form. The tab will not change unless you change or add additional information to it. There's also a contact section. So I included Nicole on my Accord form, so that's why you see her right here. But if you don't include your contact, you just go to the right-hand side and add them right here as well. Heading back to the submission tab you see right here, it's currently labeled with the line of business that we're working on, the effective date, and the current status of our submission. If you ever need to change the effective date, which I'm going to show you guys right now because I forgot to update my Accord form, so this is expired, but you simply just click on the date and change it to whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to do the 4th, oops, do the 3rd, and then you'll click Save. So just know that if you do change the date, all currently existing forms and any newly added forms will automatically update with the new effective date. So you actually don't have to go back to that original Accord that you uplinked and change the date. Appulate will do it for you. And I'll show you guys, I changed it to September 3rd. So it'll automatically update for you. I also like to add my contacts from the get-go, and to do that, you just go over to the right-hand side and click on this underlined verbiage, no main contact. And there's Nicole again, so I'm just going to add her. Now I'm going to review the Forms tab with you guys. Currently, it's only reflecting the original Accord 130, but at this point, maybe we know we need to add additional Accord forms, but we haven't completed them yet. So to save us some time, I'm going to let the Appulate system complete them for me instead. To add additional Accord forms, you just click on the available forms. And once you click, the list shown will be those that apply or could apply to the line of business that you're working on. So I'm going to add my 125 by checking this box. And now that my 125 has been added, all of the duplicate data that was housed on my 130 has bridged over to my new form for me, as well as updating that effective date for me. Any questions on adding forms?
I do have a question on the Accords.
Okay.
If we wanted to just pull an Accord, let's just say a producer's asking us, hey, can you give us an Accord? Can we pull it from here somewhere?
Yeah, so what you'll do, so if the insured is already in here and you kind of set up the profile, just kind of bare bones, it'll automatically populate the forms for you based off of the line of business that you're doing. I like to tell people, so are you talking in regards of not starting with an Accord form to create the insured?
Well, sometimes they don't give us all the information. So, but we could probably do it so that we can input the account, at least the basics, and then it will pull up the Accords.
Yeah, so I will do that for you real quick. So I'm just going to do a test. And so we'll just do this really quick. You have to choose your line of business. So maybe we're just doing auto and we'll continue. So what Appulate will do, you go into the Forms tab, it'll automatically populate some Accords for you. So if you want to see that Accord 125, it's going to definitely be bare bones because there's not much information in there, but it'll automatically populate those Accords for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Great question. Okay, so now I'm going to take you through supplementals, and supplemental forms are added to your submission based off of two factors. The first is the line of business that you're working on, and the second are the markets that you've selected. So I'm going to add my markets by clicking on this plus symbol right here, and then you would then add the markets that you want to submit your risk to. For today, I'm going to be adding 4 markets that represent the 4 different ways that you can submit to with an Appulate. I also like to show people this open brokerage market section. So these are all available to anybody in Appulate. You can submit to them and get a quote back from them even without having an appointment. So if you're ever curious to what their product is like, what their pricing is like, feel free to utilize this. When you go and find a quote, that's when you have to get an appointment with them. This is also based off of the location of the insured and the line of business. So State Fund First is California only. So if you're quoting in Mississippi or wherever you're quoting, this obviously wouldn't be a choice for you guys. So it's based on the line of business in your location. So now that my markets have been added, all supplemental forms that apply to my desired markets and my line of business have been added for me. And all of the data for my original Accord 130 has been dispersed to all supplemental forms. So opening this Westlake GA supplemental, you can see that it's fairly complete based off of the bridge data for my Accord 130 and saving me some time by not having to fill this out completely empty, having to do it all manually. Appulate will bridge over some things for you. So I like to tell people the more thorough your Accords are filled out, the more information that gets saved into Appulate, and therefore it bridges over to supplemental forms for you guys. If you ever need to edit these forms, you just go in line with the document you want to edit, to the right-hand side and click on this edit button. This takes you to a line-by-line edit section, but I know a lot of agents like to see the form. So if you go up here and choose inline, that takes you to the form view. Anywhere you see a pencil is where you can edit information. You also have additional options by going to the right-hand side again, but clicking on the 3 dots this time. This reveals the option to send via email, via fax, sign forms or request signatures from your insured, or send a questionnaire to your insured to complete. You also have the option to send multiple forms to your insured to complete by going back into the Smart Q&A section to the left-hand side. And towards the right-hand side, you'll see the Send Q&A button. You click on this, and this option allows you to select what you want your insured to answer specifically. So if you know some of the answers to the questions in the system and you answer those, but you want your insured to fill out the rest, this is the option you're going to use. So we're going to do required unanswered ones, because maybe you've already gone through the list and answered some. So we're going to do required unanswered and click OK. I need my insured's email address, and then you'll click save. Once you click save, an email will automatically generate for you. And at the top of the email in this yellow box, it's asking you to configure your mail server. I highly recommend completing this step before you send out any emails, because this allows Appulate to send the email out directly as you instead of on behalf of you, as well as put a copy of the email in your email server's outbox. So once you click send, the system will then send a link to your insured via email. Your insured will click this mobile-friendly link, complete the questions that are presented to them in a clear and clean Q&A view. Once the questions have been completed, you'll receive an email notification that your insured updated a questionnaire. And when you log back into Appulate, you'll see that all of the data that your insured provided has automatically populated back into the Appulate platform for you. So you won't have to go back and answer the questions. They automatically save.
Jessica, is there any way that we can see what it looks like?
Yeah, so I can do a reverse portal for you guys really quick. Hold on.
Okay.
See if this works. I've seen it done. I haven't done it myself yet, but let me. Sorry, I'm using my personal email. Hold on.
I just like to see what the customer's going to see.
Yeah, so absolutely. I just saw it for the first time I saw it for the first time last week, and it's as simple as I'm hopefully describing well. Let me just open my Gmail on my other screen. Okay, so there's this, and so this is the email I got from Appulate. I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to go through here and answer any questions. This is work comp, so there's not as many questions, but so I just answered. We'll add my contact. So you can see. Okay, so I'll complete and send.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very easy. It really is the Q&A part of it. So I'll refresh this. Go back into the work comp tab. Trying to find a policy. So you can see my contacts saved right here. Coverage history, 2 years. So whatever the questions you want them to answer, it'll automatically save for you. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yes, I was curious what it looked like. I think that's really cool that we can just ask the insured the questions that we're missing really quick, and then they reply.
Yeah, instead of having to open up your email, ask the questions, and then go back into Appulate and answer the questions. Absolutely, I agree with you. So before I start working on our first market, does anybody have any other questions for me?
Ivy, do you have any questions? This all sounding good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to start working on my first market. And the first market that we're going to look at is Westlake GA. And Westlake GA has this little clover image next to their name, and this represents an Appulate style submission. Appulate style submission markets allow you to complete the entire rate, quote, and bind process for that market entirely within Appulate. You'll see that some submarkets have this little lightning bolt next to their name, and this represents a live API for that market. This means you have an opportunity to receive an instant bindable quote from that market, as long as the submission doesn't need to be referred back to underwriting. Appulate style submission can be both direct carriers as well as MGAs or brokers. The only difference of workflow is direct carriers do not have submarket lists, while MGAs or brokers may have those submarkets for you. Using Westlake GA as our example, we're being shown what markets they can approach on our behalf. We also have the power to select and deselect from the submarket list. So essentially, we're telling our MGA or broker exactly what submarkets we want them to approach on our behalf. So for today, I'm going to choose AmTrust and Encino. And once your submarkets are selected, I'm going to move the focus to the middle of the screen to these colorful letter indicators. These letter indicators can provide you with valuable information specific to your submission. So for example, if I hover over this red D for decline, the market is providing us with the declination reason in the yellow box. So on this one, the FEIN is already in the system because I use this FEIN every time I do training. So it knows the FEIN for me. But if this were a true declination on your end, you may choose to stop right here because most agents don't try to submit on something that they're already blocked on. But in this case, I just need to give the system an acceptable FEIN. Just give me a second to pause really quick. Sorry. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this FEIN. And because the link is live and dynamic, the system takes the guesswork out of where a question is located and highlights it in a red box for me. So I don't have to go searching for this required question I have to answer. It'll take me straight to the question. So on this one, I just need to move a few numbers around that I've never used before. So now that I edited my FEIN, this letter indicator updated in real time, changing from a red D for decline to an orange A for pending acceptance. So if I hover over this again, I can continue answering all of my required questions. And once you answer something, it gets taken off of this list. So in this section, I like to point out there's a couple of different ways you can answer these questions. You can, of course, continue going through these links lists and it'll take you straight to the question. Or if you notice this red number right here, that's the amount of questions in this section that's being required to answer, and they're indicated with a red asterisk. So personally, I just kind of like to stay in this section. And if you go through all of these questions and you know that the answer is no to all of them, we have a little shortcut for you to the right-hand side that you can mark them all no at one time. And once you answer a question, this updates in real time as well. So while I go through and answer these, does anybody have any questions for me?
Well, I don't really have a question, but most of these things will be filled out as long as they print the cord into the system.
Yeah, if it's a question that is on the Accord form, it'll save in our system. Yes, great question.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, drop this down. Give me a second, hold on. All right, what else do I need right here? Okay, so I just need a phone number. One other thing that's not highlighted with an asterisk is you have to, okay, there it is. Not at first, but I have to give myself a role. So maybe I'm the owner of this business. Actually, I'm going to switch this to Nicole. So I have to give Nicole a role. So maybe she's the owner, but maybe she also takes care of billing. This person can have as many roles as needed. So if you do habitational or, you work with HOAs or something, this person could be the president and the secretary, whatever role they need. They can have as many. Okay. So now that I answered all of the missing and required questions, I'm going to go back up and you can see that my letter indicators are all now green. Green is good and it's what you strive for every time because now I can go over to the right-hand side and click this green submit button. And my testing environment is a lot slower than you'll see on the production side, so just bear with me while this loads, sorry. Definitely take it. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So since the API for AmTrust is live, I was actually able to receive an instant bindable quote from them, while the other submarket in Pheno, they'll need to have a quote uploaded by the underwriter. But when the underwriter does upload a quote on their end, you'll receive an email notification letting you know that the quote is in the Appulate system for you. So I don't know if you guys work with AmTrust or have in the past. I just want to show you guys this. But this is the exact same quote for, okay, perfect. So you'll notice this is the exact same format that you would normally receive from your underwriter or downloading on their website. So just know that the format of the quotes do not change and your insureds will be used to this format, and so will you guys. So I just like to point that out. You, of course, want to review your quote as you normally would and then send it off to your insured. Do you guys have any questions before I go over binding requirements?
I think I'm good.
Okay, perfect. So if you get to the point where you're ready to bind, we're going to go to the right-hand side and refer to this request to bind button. Ours is currently orange, which lets us know that we have some binding requirements we have to take care of first. So I'm going to hover over this again, and I need to get my Accord 130 signed and to upload loss runs. I'm going to start with my Accord form. So I'm going to go to the left-hand side and click on the Forms tab. And in line with my Accord 130, I'm going to go all the way to the right-hand side, click the three dots, and I'm going to choose Sign. You would assign yourself as the agency representative, and then you'd add your insured information right here. For today, I'm going to deselect that though. And then you would click OK. Once you click OK, the form will then auto-populate for you to sign. And if you had an insured, it'll send them a mobile-friendly link via email. Once your insured clicks the signature link, they're going to be taken through the exact same signature process I'm going to walk you through right now. So the form will populate, and to start signing, we're going to click on this jumping green arrow, which takes you to the bottom of the Accord form to this orange box to click on. You'll type in your name. You can choose a fancy font if you want, or just save and insert. And then we have to finalize it. And then you have to check this box to agree to the terms and conditions of your signature and click on Sign. Once yourself as the producer or your insured signs the form, those signatures will auto-populate onto the form for you. All signatures obtained in the Appulate system are legal and binding in court, and an audit trail of all signatures will generate for you. So if you ever want to download that audit trail or the signed form, you just go back to your Accord, drop this down, and to the right-hand side is your signed document in your audit trail. Since we took care of the required signature, I'm going to proceed with loss runs, and I'm going to go and click on this loss runs tab to the left-hand side. And so you'll see Agora West right here, and that's because I included prior carrier information on my Accord forms. So that auto-populated when I uplinked those Accord forms. But if you don't have prior carrier information on here, it's completely okay. You'll just click on this Edit Insurance History button. And this is where you can include your prior carrier information. So I do have demo loss runs I'll upload for the submission, but I do want to talk you through our Loss Runner tool because you have access to it. So Loss Runner essentially allows you as the agent to request loss runs on behalf of your insured or a new business prospect in a few different ways depending on the situation. So to launch Loss Runner, I'm going to go all the way to the right-hand side and click on the Send Loss Runner button. And Loss Runner will launch with the default request type being letter of authorization. And this is because it's the most commonly used request type in the system, and it does require an insured signature. But what a letter of authorization is, it's a letter from the insured directly to the carrier, giving them permission to return loss runs directly to you as the agent. So what it's doing is it's cutting out a prior agent completely because some agents are difficult to get a hold of. They don't want to release lost runs, whatever the case may be. It's completely deleting them from the lost run request system and giving permission to return them directly to you as the agent. A lot of agents have told me it only takes about a day or two to get these lost runs back from the carrier. So it is pretty quick turnaround time. But we also, if you drop this down, we also have a broker of record letter, agency lost run request letter, as well as insurance lost run request letter. But I'm going to talk you through letter of authorization. So starting at the top, Appulate will populate your insured's information, followed by the market that you're requesting lost runs from, including an editable destination. So Appulate does our best to include fax number and email addresses for carriers, but sometimes they change it and they don't let us know. So a lot of lost runs department have specific destinations. So just make sure that these read correctly. And if you know, I have to go to a specific place. It's then followed by the policy number and the policy period for the insured. And then it concludes with the body of the letter itself, which will provide the market with the return destination being yourself as the agent. And then at the bottom, you'll see your insured's information down below. You want to check this box to follow up on this. Maybe you want to do 7 days. So if in 7 days you don't have the lost runs back, Appulate will send another signed letter out for you requesting the lost runs from the carrier. And then you'll click send and you'll click OK. Since this needs the insured signature, it'll send them a mobile-friendly link to sign. Once it's signed, the signed request, including the audit trail that proves the validity of the digital signature provided, is sent to the market destination that you confirmed earlier in the letter. Appulate will track and timestamp all actions related to lost runner with the exception of when lost runs are returned to you by the market. So you're going to get your lost runs as you normally would, most likely through email. So when you get those lost runs back, you're going to go back into Appulate. In line with Agora West, you'll go all the way to the right-hand side, click these 3 dots to upload your lost runs. And this will also timestamp who uploaded the lost runs and when. Do you guys have any questions on Lost Runner?
I would like if you could show us how to get there without having to go through that portion. So let's just say I have a producer saying, hey, I need to order lost runs. They just put in the basic information for the client.
Yeah. So I'll go back to that basic information test one I did a little bit earlier. So you're just going to go to the left-hand side under Lost Runner. You do not have to add markets in order to request lost runs. So if you're at the very beginning of the stages, like this one is, you just go to Lost Runs. You just have to edit your insurance history. So maybe this was with Travelers. Oops, sorry. 1, 2, 3. So it does require carrier information, but we'll just do 2 years. And we'll click save. And then we'll go over, click on send lost runner. And there's that, it populates for you again. So if you, let's say this is changed just so it looks a little bit better. And there's Travelers with the fax number, or they have an email address down here. Save, policy number, policy periods, my agency, my contact. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, that's absolutely perfect.
Okay. Perfect.
I think ordering lost runs, people will be super excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was an agent for 8 years, and you come across agents who are just really difficult to get lost runs from. Like it takes like 2 weeks to get them back. But last week, I had like 4 or 5 different agents tell me they've gotten it back the next day. So this is actually a very quick way to get lost funds back.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So that was the Appulate style submission workflow. Do you guys have any questions on that submission type? I know it's a lot of information.
I have a question. My question is more when our submissions team is working on something and they come across the underwriting questions that need to be answered before a submission can be officially pushed through. Is there a way that they could send it to us as producers where we could go in and just answer those questions and send it back? I tried to kind of play with it a little bit before, but since my information was in there as a user, I couldn't send it to myself. Is there a way around it, or is there something that we could do?
So you could send it to yourself, but since your email address is associated with a login, you'd probably have to send it to like a personal email or create maybe like an office email for these to go to. But since your work email is connected to a user, that's why you can't send it to yourself, if that makes sense.
Got it. So I'm just trying to think of a way to streamline it so that way when our submissions team is going through and there's all these follow-up questions, they could just send it directly to whoever the producer is on the account. And that way they can just sign it and get it done quickly, and or not even sign it, fill it out, answer the questions and submit it back in. So Chris, maybe that's something we can kind of figure out on our end, the best way to do that, or a way to do a separate email or something for that.
That sounds perfect. We can talk about that after.
Yeah.
Great question though.
Yeah, that's actually a really, it'd be nice if the system let us do that, because it would be perfect.
Yeah, I'll double check on that for you, but I believe because your work email is associated with a user email address, that's why it's not letting you send it directly to yourself. I will double check on that for you, but I believe that's the reason. I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the next submission style is e-submission, and e-submission is this globe with a paper scroll in front of it. And they're still partners of Appulate, just like Appulate style submission markets are. The difference is e-submission markets have carrier portals that they still want you to continue using, and that's absolutely fine. What Appulate will do is we will bridge over duplicated data housed in the system to that carrier portal for you. So whatever is in the system that is in the portal, they ask the same questions, it'll automatically fill those out for you. And I'm going to show you guys that right now. So to initiate your e-submission, we're going to go inline with arrowhead to the right-hand side and click on the green submit button. The system will then update your submission status to submission initiated, and a new button will show up that says finish submission. We're going to click on finish submission, and the system will open the carrier portal and populate all duplicate data from the Appulate system to that carrier portal. You want to make sure you review your submission and answer any questions that were not duplicate in Appulate. So some of these aren't answered, and that's just because Appulate doesn't ask these questions. So you definitely want to make sure you go through and answer any unanswered questions. But you'll continue clicking through your screens and allowing Appulate to turbocharge your submission by populating duplicate data in real time. You'll still obtain your quote as you're normally accustomed to for these e-submission carriers, whether it's through their website or through email, whatever the case may be. It's business as normal to get your quote. However, once you obtain your quote outside of Appulate, you want to make sure that you load it back into the system. So to do so, we're going to go back into Appulate, and inline with arrowhead to the right-hand side, we'll click those 3 dots and upload our quote. Give it a second to load. So this quote markup, I don't know if you guys use IPFS as your finance company, but Appulate can help you with billing if you need it. But it's for IPFS only.
Okay, we don't currently use IPFS.
Okay, so you can just exit out of that. It pops up every time you upload a quote, so just exit out of it.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Once you upload your quote and you decide that you're actually binding this quote, you want to make sure that you go to the right-hand side and click Mark as Bound. This action ensures that your reports are accurate as well as preparing the system for next year's renewal. Appulate can actually kickstart your renewal process by bringing forward all the information for your insured from the year before and populating it into the new term. But to do this, you have to upload the quote, and market is bound if you do in fact bind with that market. Do you guys have any questions on e-submission?
I think it's great. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So next is WebLink, and WebLink submission style is this more colorful globe you see next to builders, and it's very similar to e-submission. What makes them different is e-submission markets are considered in-network and WebLink markets are considered out-of-network, but the actual submission process is going to look really similar because they're both bridging duplicate data from Appulate to the carrier portal for you. So for WebLink, we're going to go to the right-hand side with builders and click on submit. But instead of clicking on that finish submission button like we did with e-submission, the system will automatically open the carrier window and you'll see the system start to run through the motions of auto-filling data. It kind of looks like a video, but once it pauses, that's when you can start to fill out additional data that wasn't duplicated. So the county wasn't in my system, so you just have to fill out that. So anything that wasn't duplicated, you'll just need to fill out. And you'll click through your screens to obtain your quote from the carrier. WebLink will continue auto-filling the data in real time as you click from one screen to the next. Again, after you obtain your quote, you want to make sure that you load it back into Appulate by going to the right-hand side and clicking on those three dots, uploading your quote, and marking it as bound if you do in fact bind with this market directly. So e-submission just has an extra step by clicking on that finish submission button, whereas WebLink automatically opens. Any questions on WebLink?
I think we're good.
Okay. So the last one is email submission, and email submission is this little envelope next to the carrier name. If you see that a market's labeled as an email submission, but you're not sure whether that they accept email submission, just make sure you contact that market directly. So to start an email submission, I recommend adding your underwriting contact first. So to do so, we're going to go in line with ACE, go towards the right-hand side, and we're going to stop where it says select. We're going to click select. And for the first time, you'd have to add your underwriter, but then it gets saved from this drop-down list. Just know that your underwriter will not change regardless of your use of Appulate. So it's whoever you normally work with. Once you add your underwriter, we're going to click this green submit button, and this will automatically populate your email submission. Again, just make sure you configure your email server before you send out any emails. You'll then proceed to fill your email submission out as you normally would. And if your email submission is within the acceptable time frame of that market, we're going to click on submit. But let's say you're working on an account and 2 of the 3 markets that you're going to are within the acceptable time frame, but 1 is out of the time frame. But you don't want to come back in 2 weeks to work on this account. You kind of just want to move on to the next account. We're going to actually schedule this email submission to be sent out at a specific date and time. So to do that, you're going to click on this clock button, and this gives you your location's current date and time. So I'm 2 weeks out on this. I'm going to schedule this for September 15th. I'm going to change this to 12:01 a.m. insurance magic hour to block the market that morning. You're going to click done, and you're going to click OK. Once you click OK, the system will schedule that email, and the status for that market will be changed to scheduled. If you go to the left-hand side and click on this activity tab, not only is this a timestamped log of everything you've done so far regarding your submission, you can see that the last activity is the scheduling of my email. So when I get into the office September 15th at 8 o'clock in the morning and I log into Appulate, there's going to be a new line activity in here from 12:01 a.m. That's the sending of my email submission to that market. Do you guys have any questions?
So I wanted to say, for the most part, Ivy, you will be doing this. So I want to make sure that you really understand that part, because that's going to really save us when it comes to being blocked by other markets, because you can just schedule this to go out before anything else, before you even wake up. It can go out that morning, 12:01 a.m., at the 90-day mark so we don't get blocked by anyone else.
Right.
Hey, Jessica.
Yeah.
From a technical perspective, what needs to be configured exactly on our server for our email server?
So Chris will need to go in, and Chris, under setup at the top, you'll go to settings, and then you want to make sure you check this mail server box right here. You'll need to your SMTP server, but once you do this, it'll be ready for everybody. They'll just have to just press configure, and it's connected.
Okay, I'm literally in there right this moment. So.
Okay.
Well, it's something, first question, does every person need to do this, or are you saying one admin and then it's set for the rest?
So the admin needs to put the SMTP server in there before you guys can even click on configure, but everybody will need to configure it after she puts the server in there.
Okay. Chris, if you want, you can go ahead and loop in IT just to make sure you get the server name. I mean, I don't know where to get that. I would ask IT if I were.
I'll message them after this. Thank you.
Okay.
Great question. Any other questions on the workflow portion before I show you where some training is for you guys? Okay. So
let's do a question real quick, just a comment. When I've done a few submissions on here, I've had issues with certain markets where it's like freezing or it's not working. And I just want to say that the help, like the chat help on here, works really well. So if anyone has any issues like that, you could reach out on that. They'll go ahead and they'll work through the whole process just to make sure everything's working smoothly still. And that way, if we encounter it again, we're aware of how to get around it. We're aware of what to do.
Yeah, support team is fantastic for that live chat feature. You're absolutely right. So some other tools for you guys. So everything's going to be in this help tab right here. So this first one is Help Center. It provides searchable written article-based learning. So if, let's say you guys want to read more about Loss Runner, because it's a very, very cool feature, you just type in Loss Runner and you can read all about it right in this section. This next one is Quick Start. This is a page that'll break it out step by step on how to do certain things in Appulate. So if you forget how to add your markets or you forget about your credentials and you need help with that, we have step-by-step instructions that tell you how to do it. The next one is video tutorials. These are previously recorded videos. They're about like 1 to 3 minutes long, but these are videos that will show you how to do something. So I love this section because let's say you forget how to do an e-submission. If you have 2 screens, you can easily have this YouTube video up on one screen while you're working in your Appulate screen. Very helpful on these ones. The next one is webinars. So if you guys ever want to watch and listen to exactly what we did today, I host a premium webinar every Tuesday. There's not one next week. It's right after Labor Day, but I host them every Tuesday, or if you don't want to wait until Tuesday, there's an on-demand premium training as well. And then what we were talking about earlier, the live chat, you just click on the upper left-hand logo, and down in the corner in the bottom right-hand are the 2 bubbles to live chat with support. Of course, you can always reach out to me as I'm your dedicated account manager, but if your support's very quick and thorough, if you're looking for something super quick, they're great. Do you guys have any questions for me? I know it's a lot of information, so I'm going to give you guys a couple weeks to kind of play around in the system, and then I'll follow back up with you, Chris, and see if anybody needs any help.
Thank you so much. I think this is really great. And I know that we have a lot of people in here and not everybody's going to be using this all the time, but it's important everybody knows how to use it, especially for the account managers that do their own submissions. You're definitely going to want to use this system. You're going to fall in love with it. And next year, you're going to be even happier.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was an agent for 8 years and I marketed accounts every year to, 3 to 5 markets. And coming from being an agent to this technology side, it's game changing if you stick with it.
So I think we are good. I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have any questions, you guys?
No, I think that's all. Oh,
Yeah, for me, I think I just need to go over the help thing, and the demos and the tutorials for me to familiarize the process.
Perfect. And just let me know because we can do it together, Ivy.
Yeah, and Ivy, if you ever need help, if you want to walk through something one-on-one, just reach out to me. I'm happy to schedule a one-on-one, and you kind of take the driver's seat and I can walk you through it too.
Sure, I'll surely do. Thanks.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah.
Quick one or a feedback here. Maybe what we can do is how we can maybe formulate the workflow for the transition coming from the regular task or submissions task that we are currently doing, now transitioning to an Opulate workflow. So I think we just need to clarify those steps. So at least for Jessica, Melvin, Wilma, and Gianna's sake, they would be more familiar in terms of how they would utilize the tool itself in this transition period.
Yeah, I'll get with you afterwards, and we'll figure that out on our end.
Yes, Chris. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Jessica.
All right, well, yeah, thank you for your time. So I'm going to send this recording to you a little bit later today. It'll be like a YouTube form, so you guys can listen to it and see everything that I did.
Awesome.
That'll come a little bit later this afternoon.
Okay, well, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you all for your time
Thank you,
today.
Jessica.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, you guys.
You too. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.